latest ITV news in the Tyne region.
With Julia Barthram and Gregg Easteal.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
On tonight's programme, lights, camera and finally some action. A major cash boost makes the Crown Works studio and Gateshead Arena a reality.
Feeling the heat. The people in Northumberland watching the cost of their heating oil soar as fighting continues in the Gulf.
Time to write their own history. Newcastle United enter uncharted territory in what Eddie Howe's called their biggest ever game.
And precious cargo. The riders carrying the Six Nations match ball and an important message in memory of Scotland star Doddy Weir.
Thanks for joining us this Tuesday evening. First tonight to the major cash injection that could help to transform the music and film landscape of the North East.
Yes, over £100 million in funding from the North East Mayor's Office means the Crown Works film studios in Sunderland will be built, while groundworks on the proposed Gateshead Arena can also get underway.
We'll have more on those Gateshead Arena plans in a moment, but first, here's Rachel Bullock on the Crown Works Studios vision in Sunderland.
Ready for action. This site in Sunderland is set to be at the heart of a multi-million-pound transformation. After months of delay, debate and discussion, Crown Works is confirmed and set to be one of the biggest studios in the north, driven, the Mayor says, by demand.
We've seen 130% growth in these industries, in production in our region in the last 3 years. That is massive, and there's room for so much more. Those people who are making film and TV are telling us they want to do more in this region. We also know that we've got the talent to do it.
That said, Crown Works will be smaller than originally planned. So why?
This is just phase one. What we know will happen is private investment to follow, to expand.
You can't guarantee, though, can you, that private funding will definitely follow? That's not a given, is it?
We know that the BBC have put this in their charter. We're talking to ITV, to other production companies who want to make more film and television in our region. So I'm very confident that getting phase one off the ground will bring more private investment and have a much bigger studio on the banks of the Weir.
Phase one of this development begins in July and it'll be complete next year. But this is about more than creating a space to make films and television. It's about offering people in the creative industries here in the North East an alternative to the well-established centres of London and Manchester. People like Johnny Smith, whose production company is in Sunderland. It has credits including ITV, BBC and Netflix.
I think you have to be it to see it. There wasn't many people who I could look to in the North East go, I want to do what you do. So the more of us that they are at our level and who are active in the industry, hopefully it'll go some way to inspiring the students and giving them a sense that it's possible and you don't have to leave home.
Sunderland's Sarah Davies, TV star and businesswoman, also in agreement.
You can take the girl out of the North East, you'll never take the North East out of the girl. And I have pursued a big career in TV, and that's meant travelling around the country, travelling around the world. For me, the exciting part here is now being able to do it on my doorstep. And I want to show the rest of the country, we're here, we're open for business, come and make world-class TV up here.
A big, bold plan to meet big, bold ambitions.
Well, let's join Rachel now, live at Gateshead Quays, which is where the long-awaited arena is set to be built. Rachel, that has also been part of today's investment offer.
Yes, that's right. £24 million to prepare the ground here for Gateshead Arena, a brand new arena, a 15,000-seater, no less. For more, let's have a chat now with the Chief Executive of Gateshead Council, Mr Dale Owens. Mr Owens, a great day for Gateshead, but this arena project has had quite a few false starts already. Will it definitely get built this time?
So previously we had a fully funded arena and conference centre on this site. Unfortunately, due to international factors such as COVID-19, the war in Ukraine and massive inflation increases, it meant that it wasn't financially viable. We've now worked internationally with our partners in NECA and also with international providers of arenas, and they've told us that the package of support that we've got, the investment in the site, will absolutely deliver an arena on the site.
From where we're standing, we can probably just about see Newcastle's utility arena. Do we need a second big music venue here? Is that a good spend of taxpayers' money so close by?
We're absolutely committed to develop an arena in Gateshead. We think that very much international artists sometimes miss out the North East because we don't have the facilities available for them to come and visit, and we want to make sure that we get the best artists in the North East. So this is absolutely what we're going to do.
Okay, so timeline then. When will we see it start being built, and when will you hope to welcome big acts here?
So these schemes are hugely complex. We've got the startings of this arena being developed now. We'll see some work on the site over the next 12 months and more work to come over the next couple of years until we build the arena.
Exciting times. Best of luck with that. So there we are, a big day, plenty of big money being spent on the creative industries across this area. Let's hope it's going to help lots of people reach some big ambitions, Julia.
We'll keep watching that space. Thank you, Rachel, from Gateshead Quays.
Now, US President Donald Trump might be promising that his war against Iran is close to an end, but the impact is still very much being felt here.
Yes, oil prices have shot up, almost doubling in the last few days, and for those who are reliant on oil to heat their homes and businesses, that's a real worry. Chris Jepson has more.
Since war broke out in Iran, Rachel has been forced to turn off her boiler and use a log burner instead to keep her kids and pets warm. Her village, Sea Houses, isn't connected to the mains gas network, so she has no choice but to use oil. But in the last 2 weeks, with oil prices rocketing, that's become depressingly more expensive.
Instead of getting 1,000 litres for £500, it was 500 litres for £700, which has more than doubled in price in the last 2 weeks. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no price cap or regulation on the oil prices. So it's just gone up exponentially, and I can afford to fill my tank. But why should I add to the profits? It's just ridiculous, the amount that the oil companies are charging for heating oil.
Now, you say you can afford what's happening, but there will be people out there already in fuel poverty who can. How do you feel about that?
Those who are in fuel poverty, it must be dreadful for them. I really feel sorry for them, and for the people who have no choice but to pay the extortionate prices for the heating oil. We've got a lot of holiday lets, a lot of elderly residents who have to pay those prices, and it will put people into real fuel poverty.
For Simon in Morpeth, like many other farmers, it feels like the perfect storm of rising costs when he looks at his heating oil gauge.
Well, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, the prices have just gone up and up and up. So I think not that long ago, it doesn't seem that long ago, I bought it heating oil for 65p a litre. And now I believe today it's about £1.60. So it's more than doubled. We're completely reliant on heating oil. We don't have gas. It would be lovely to do more of electric, but we don't have the infrastructure. The go-to thing we've got is heating oil.
How worried are you about this crisis then?
It is a worry. I just kind of look at my farm as my own little economic community, and I just try and look after us and the team. In the grand scheme of things, it's not really worth worrying about, because am I going to be able to change it?
Campaigners who want to end fuel poverty say anyone affected should seek support from Citizens Advice. But they say if this crisis continues, the government will soon need to step in.
This could have quite a significant impact, depending on the length of this issue. So if this is prolonged, the government will need to provide support to people. Initially, people who are reliant on heating oil and to be able to afford to be able to heat their homes. But if this bleeds through for a long time and increases gas prices and electricity prices that people pay at home, we might need to revisit how we support people with their gas and electricity bills going forward as well.
The Chancellor says she'll look at what action the government can take to support those using heating oil, but the longer this crisis goes on, the more anxious people like Rachel and Simon will be. Chris Jepson, ITV News, Northumberland.
So clearly some people being hit really hard. Let's join our political correspondent Tom Sheldrake. Tom, there's growing pressure on the government now, though, isn't there, over the impact of the conflict in the Middle East on the pounds in our pockets?
Yes, Gregg, and the other big pressure point is around petrol and diesel prices, which have risen to their highest level in more than 18 months. Opposition parties are calling for the government to reverse an increase to fuel duty, which is due to take effect in September. Reform UK held a press conference at a petrol station this morning to make that point. The Chancellor has said that she'll meet petrol retailers in the next few days to warn them not to rip off customers, and she's asked the market's watchdog to ensure that isn't happening with heating oil. But otherwise, really, she told MPs earlier to be patient.
The most important thing we can do around petrol prices, diesel prices and heating oil is to de-escalate the conflict in the Middle East and get vessels moving again through the Strait of Hormuz, which is why this government is putting such efforts into de-escalating this crisis.
Well, staying with utilities and the cost of living, it looks like there is some kind of good news in the North East. And Northumbrian Water have been told they can't increase water bills by as much as they wanted to. They plan to lift them to £515 a year. Instead, there'll be £487 on average, which is still a significant rise. The market watchdog says it wanted to balance the impact on customers' bills with the need for companies to invest to improve services and tackle pollution.
Tom in Westminster for us this evening, many thanks.
In other news, a man has been charged with murdering notorious child killer Ian Huntley. 43-year-old Anthony Russell is alleged to have attacked Huntley at HMP Frankland in Durham last month. He's due to appear in court tomorrow. Huntley was serving a life sentence for the murders of 10-year-olds Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman in Soham in 2002. He died on Saturday.
You're watching ITV News Tyne Teas, still to come on tonight's programme.
St James's Park, Newcastle United, Barcelona, we're into the Champions League knockouts proper, and this promises to be box office.
And mild air still with us for now, keeping temperatures slightly above the average for the time of year. As we end the week, colder air swooping in and returns some more wintry weather. I'll have more on that in the forecast later.
I mean, it's a big night. It was worth waiting for, wasn't it? It's worth waiting.
It was.
More later.
Now, cleaning products, toiletries and medication, they are found in most homes, but they can pose a real risk to people who are living with dementia.
Carers and family members are being warned of the dangers in a new awareness campaign. Here's Lauren Hall.
It was just over 7 years ago that Pete Middleton was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. He lives at home with his wife Pam, and sometimes mistakes happen. Recently, he used a household cleaning product as deodorant, and he also muddled up some medications.
Pam and I laughed about it at the time because it was just daft of me. But it reminds me of my mortality, and I was disappointed in myself for having made a mistake that I wouldn't have made some time ago.
The most recent figures show over the course of a year, accidental poisonings led to more than 17,000 people being admitted to hospitals in England. In 2024, it led to 5,770 deaths, and those over 65 are more than twice as likely to die from an accidental poisoning than the general population. Some are particularly vulnerable, something they're well aware of at the Dementia Forward charity, which operates across North Yorkshire.
Part of the brain that allows us to assess risk and to look for safety can be compromised with dementia, and therefore we might not be able to see things that we originally knew were dangerous.
The Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents is leading an awareness campaign to help keep people safe in their homes.
It's actually everyday objects that you've seen all throughout your life become much riskier as cognitive decline sets in. People decant these things, and here we've got, for example, fabric conditioner, which is easily mistaken for milk.
And what about medication?
Really good question. People can mistake pills for sweets, but the big thing is actually taking multiple doses of the same medication.
So what advice do you have then?
Well, a pharmacist will provide you with a pill packet. It's really important because you can then see exactly what you're taking on what day. Keep things in labelled cabinets. And lastly, again, just don't decant things.
One of each of these, pop them in.
Pete writes a popular blog about his dementia to show you can have a good quality of life. For him, that means living independently in his own home. And he's committed to doing that for as long as possible. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Interesting stuff. Now, the Martin Lewis Money Show live follows the evening news tonight at 7:15.
There's now less than a month to go until the end of the tax year, and that means it's ISA season, because if you don't use your ISA allowance for the tax year, you lose it. So, should you be putting it in a shares ISA or a cash ISA? And if you're going to be doing your savings, what are the best rates out there? I'm going to try and demystify it for you and make sure every pound you're putting away is getting the maximum returns. Don't miss it.
That's later on, but right now, walk to your high street and a large number of the shop fronts will very likely be takeaways.
And that, it's thought, is making it difficult for people to make healthy eating choices. Amrit Birdie has more.
From our high streets to our phones, the UK's addiction to fast food shows no sign of slowing down. According to the Food Foundation, 1 in 4 eateries in England now sells fast food. As well as impacting our waistlines, cafes like this one in Sunderland say they're having to adapt as they struggle to compete with the convenience of takeaways.
People are wanting cheaper, which is, I think, is what's drawn them to the fast food. Also, especially around the city centre here, there's a lot of offices, so it is that element of fast as well. But the impact I'd say it has on us, we'd love to be, us and a lot of other independent businesses around here would love to do it cheaper, but we simply can't.
But there's a reason so many of us find it hard to cut back on the convenience and the calories.
It's engineered in such a way that it's really quite addictive. So there's something called the bliss point, which is a specific mix of fat, salt and sugar, which triggers dopamine, which is the reward system of the body, and then you get a little trigger of dopamine, and then that makes you want the food more.
Thinking it'll take too long to cook from scratch is one of the reasons people turn to fast food. So I paid a visit to recipe developer Sophie Narmad, who specialises in speedy meals.
So, Sophie, I've just seen you cook this beautiful looking dish in about 10 minutes, I'd say. It's not fast food, but it's food that's been cooked fast. Can anyone replace a fast food meal that they're in the habit of eating with something like this?
Oh yes, of course you can. I mean, it's all about clever little hacks. With this, I heavily relied on just a little tiny blender that has sort of given all the flavour to this dish. We're using kind of a focus on really fresh, whole ingredients, so it just doesn't really compare to the kind of fast food takeaway that you can get sometimes.
So, the next time you reach for that food delivery app on your phone, just think what 10 minutes in the kitchen could deliver instead. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Well, that looked tasty, but now it's time for the main course, sport. Eddie Howe's described it as the biggest match in Newcastle United's history. Tonight, they take on Barcelona in the first leg of the Champions League round of 16.
And our sports correspondent Simon O'Rourke is at St James's Park for us tonight. Simon, no two ways about it. This is a big one, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's an interesting debate to be had, isn't there, about what Eddie Howe said and whether this actually is the biggest game in Newcastle United's history. But it is the Magpies going where the Magpies have never gone before, to the sharp end of European football's biggest club competition. And this is Barcelona, back on Tyneside again. This game ticks all boxes. They've been before, they're back again. Barcelona have returned to Newcastle 173 days after their last visit for the opening game of this season's Champions League. That was a big occasion. This is much bigger.
There's only 16 teams left, and we're one of them. So I think it's very much an opportunity to grab a moment that we may never get again. You don't know what life brings tomorrow, yet alone future seasons. We don't want to waste that opportunity. Don't want to kick ourselves and think what ifs.
Eddie Howe's even suggested this is the biggest game in Newcastle's history.
I certainly understand why he's saying that. Whether it's bigger than the cup finals they had at Wembley is another thing, but he's well within his rights to say that, because I think he's saying that to motivate his players, to motivate the crowd, to get the right reaction.
That was Alan Shearer, of course, Newcastle United legend. He played against Barcelona in the Champions League in 2003, and he's part of Prime Video's coverage of the game tonight. And what a game this is. There's the past, 1997 and all that. Aspria's hat-trick, Newcastle's vibrant victory.
A hat-trick for Asprilla! Wonderful stuff for Newcastle!
Then there was 2003 when Shearer played. Barcelona won that, and they won here last September. Tino turned up for that. And the scary thing is Barca weren't even at full strength that night. They were without superstar and teenage prodigy Lamine Yamal. But he's here this time, he'll probably play, and Lewis Hall will probably have to mark him.
I've seen him play in enough Champions League games. I know what he's about, so for me, if I was to be selected, it's obviously I'll be really looking forward to it, and for me, I want to test myself against the best players in the world.
This is the most daunting test for Eddie Howe's team, but they can't be afraid of Lamine Yamal, or Barcelona's history, or the occasion, the knockout stage of club football's biggest global showcase.
It's not as if it's a final or a semi-final. It's the last 16 year, and I don't see why there would be any nerves. I mean, a lot of these guys have played in cup finals at Wembley before, and a lot of them have played for their country in big games. So I don't think nerves will come into it at all. I think there'll be an excitement there.
Desperate for the club to break new ground and to keep going in this competition, having worked so hard to get here. And I think we're going to need to break new ground in terms of performance level. So if there's a time for us to be at our absolute best, it's in these two games.
We haven't even mentioned Sir Bobby Robson, who managed both clubs and is beloved by both clubs. But the Black and White Knight would surely tell us this isn't a night for looking back on history, this is a night for making history.
Yeah, Bobby knew how to call it, didn't he? Now, Simon, two questions for you. First off, obviously, do you think Newcastle really can beat Barca tonight? And secondly, your thoughts on Eddie Howe saying this is the biggest game in the club's history? How do you see that one?
Well, it's like Alan Shearer just said, he wants a reaction. I think challenging the players and the fans, saying, make this the biggest game in Newcastle's history. Create the perfect atmosphere. Give the perfect performance. So can they win? Well, Barcelona are the champions of Spain, one of the best teams in Europe. Newcastle United are currently not one of the best teams in the Premier League. They are massive underdogs. But if the sky turns a certain shade of black and white tonight, then yes, Newcastle United can win. But let's not forget, this is not one and done. There is a second leg in Barcelona next Wednesday. But you do feel if Newcastle United are going to win this tie, they need to do the heavy lifting here tonight. If they can, then maybe this will come to be seen as Newcastle United's biggest ever game.
We shall see. Let's see how it pans out tonight. Simon, many thanks.
Moving from football to rugby, and finally tonight our region played host to a leg of an important journey today as riders taking part in Doddy's Triple Crown rode through on their way from Melrose to Dublin.
Yeah, over 400 riders are carrying the match ball that will be used in Rugby's Six Nations Showdown in Dublin between Scotland and Ireland. That's on Saturday.
It's in honour of the former Scotland international Doddy Weir, who died from motor neurone disease in 2022. Amy Sutton reports.
Flying the flag for a pit stop, Tynedale Rugby Club in Coalbridge. The first break in an epic 750-mile challenge. They've crossed the border to get here, but you'd never know it, with everyone sporting tartan, even Dora. All giving a warm welcome to those making it happen.
It's me, Tynedale's home again, so it's quite emotional. And there's so many people that I can see that I know, and you're thinking, oh, let's go say hello. On the way down on the road, the people have been honking, the cyclists are great, you know, the support is fantastic.
This challenge sees riders tackle terrains across Scotland, England, Wales and Ireland in aid of My Name's Doddy Foundation. But they have a mission to safely deliver the match ball in Dublin ahead of Scotland's Six Nations match against Ireland. And waiting on the sidelines in support, Newcastle's Red Bulls. Keen to remember Doddy, a giant of the game, not only in stature, but in status.
He was a mountain of a man in all sense of the word, on and off the pitch. People know him just not for his rugby playing ability, but the stature that he was in fundraising, in crack, in off-field antics, whatever it was, he was a cracking man.
Kitted up and raring to go, the pack are on track for Darlington, just after a chance to grab some refreshments, relax, and change gear.
I feel like a bit of a fraud because I've arrived at Tynedale, had 2 bacon rolls, and I've actually done no cycling yet. So I'm doing the next 60 miles. So we're doing a relay. I think we'll end up doing about 70 miles a day each, which is not nothing. I will say that for me that's a lot. Our main goal is obviously to raise money for the charity.
We have surpassed 1 million before we even set off, so Rob's aiming for 2 million now. So that is, you know, we need to keep going that, we need to keep banging the drum, and it's all apparently uphill from here on in.
Did you hear that, David? You better get on your bike. There's precious cargo that needs carrying. Amy Sutton, ITV News.
Great cause.
Yeah, isn't it?
Great cause. Good luck for the rest of the ride.
Yeah, turning out in force. Ross, tell me it's good weather cycling. Tell me it's going to be spring.
It's been good weather for cycling.
It's not quite what I was
This is what's been happening today. We've seen some of the better clear skies on offer, although you probably noticed the winds are starting to pick up. There's some wetter weather moving its way in from the west, and dare I say, a reminder March is very up and down. There's some snow in the forecast. Let's take a look.
A heavy downpour will subside and light relaxation will set in. 2 week sponsors ITV, Tyne's weather.
So some good spells of spring sunshine for us today, but the cloud is starting to thicken. With that cloud, we're seeing spells of rain taking us through this evening and initially overnight. The wind's picking up with that as well. Staying windy as we head into tomorrow morning. A scattering of blustery showers in the mix. Further rain as we look towards Thursday. As that clears through, things start to dip when it comes to temperatures. A return to some more wintry weather as we end the week. This is tonight's rainfall there. It's a narrow band. It's only with us for a few hours. It disappears quickly. We keep those winds coming in from that westerly direction, pushing through this secondary area of rain. So that's with us on Thursday. Again, some strong winds with that, the odd heavier burst. But this cold front here is arriving with the winds coming down from the north, the Arctic air spreading its way in. And so it's that that's going to bring that drop in temperatures. For now, the cloud is thickening, the rain's starting to arrive. There's some heavy bursts in here. It's blustery at times, so it does move through quickly. Into the early hours, we're getting some clearer skies, the drier conditions. But with the cloud coming and going, holding on to the windy conditions as well, temperatures do hold up at around 7 or 8 degrees. So into tomorrow morning, it's not looking too chilly. Again, we're looking at some decent spells of sunshine. A few showers will start to bubble up, but thanks to those winds, they're blustery, they move through quickly, and for most of us, it is going to stay dry, holding on to those sunny spells. So actually out of the winds in the sunshine, not too bad. Highs around 10 or 11 degrees. Later Wednesday and into Thursday, so we're watching up towards the northwest. Here's the area of rain here. Some heavy bursts taking us through the day. Again, those winds will start to pick up. As it clears through, we're going to see that drop in temperatures, that return to wintry weather as we head into Friday.
2 week sponsors ITV, Tyne's weather.
Thanks for that, Ross, I think. In just a moment, the national and international news.
I'm back with the late news at 10:30, where we'll bring you the outcome of that Newcastle Barthram match. We'll see how that plays out. Bye-bye for now.
Take care.